I haven't really explained the abduction experience much, but I know there was a session where Dekion talked about it. And in that dreamlike state, basically, I felt like I was being dragged out of my bed, feet first. I couldn't really move or do anything about it. There were a couple beings there, and I definitely felt like, it was a scary time, a lot of fear. So I was not really into it, and so I I just I was not okay with it. Let's face it. I don't know who would be. But I then understood what, like, that fear that people have with it, because I had been around space stuff my whole life, and I've been like, yeah, let's show up, guys. Let's do this. Let's go. But nope, that was not the time for me. And so in that fear state, that wasn't going to work. They shut that down, and I woke up immediately in this peace and calm that everything was fine. Like, it was a complete 180. Like, not this lingering, oh, that really was fearful, and what's all this about, but a total sense of calmness, which I thought was very interesting. So I enjoyed that, but looking on it, it still had that residual ickiness to it a bit, as I gave it some thought, and so there's some uncertainty around it. So since then, and working on myself, doing my deeper inner work that I've been doing, I have really been feeling like, okay, I want more interaction with them. They keep talking about open contact is going to be happening soon, and I want to prepare for that because I've been shown an amazing reality where that happens. The thing that we as a society have been looking for with that, like, Star Trek type experience. I'm like, bring it, right? Let's go. This is awesome. Like, we need to get together as a people. We need to understand who we are as a society better and honor each individual so much more. And so I want that experience, right? Replicator technology where we can have what we need just through thought or command. But I'm also seeing where that's certainly possible vibrationally with manifesting and stuff like that. I've had some incredible experiences. So last night I had this dream, and in this dream, I I'd set the intention prior to the sleeping about, I really do want to interact with these beings. I want to have a positive experience. And in this dream, there were some somewhat familiar surroundings. There was some association with some previous coworker type stuff that was happening where it was not quite real, but it felt very real at the time. And these beings were showing up, and there was a little bit of fear associated with it, right? Like seeing multiple ships coming and kind of like swooping down at us, kind of thing, almost. Not really, not like they were coming at us, but approaching, being present nearby, and then sort of this, not a rush, not a parade, but a pouring in of multiple extraterrestrial beings. All of them sort of having a somewhat gray kind of appearance, right? Like the classic experience. And but there were at least three distinct types, one of which just sort of hovered through and didn't really have much facial expressions. Like, it was very strange. It was almost like they were burlap entities just moving through. Like, there was something off with their texture. They weren't really an animated, multi-limbed being. They were just kind of floating through, and that was like the third ones that came through. The other ones, there seemed to be a couple different types, but I can't really remember much distinction around them. I was consciously aware that this was happening and aware that I needed to not be fearful. There was no reason to be fearful. There was just a lot of them, right? And so, like, to go from this idea of there's a lot, feeling inundated like a crowd, and this kind of anxiety can happen while not really being able to read intention and understand why they were there, what was going on, what was going to happen. That set up its own anxiety for me. But there were some interactions there where there was a knowing that I needed to remain calm and that there was not actually a reason to be upset or concerned. Uh, and sort of uh, a lucid dreaming kind of state started to happen in there where I was aware that I was experiencing these folks and I needed to have that mastery of my energy and how I was being. So it was a very strange dream. Uh, the other elements of it were very strange as well, but not specifically related uh, to that experience per se. But yeah, that was wild. So I think that it's working. I think that this is clearly my vibe is raising up. I've had some really great things happening lately, and it really is that despite circumstances, like it's not about the circumstances, it's what's my state of being. That kind of information. And gosh, what Dekion pulled out yesterday with like explaining some of the quantum field stuff that I had seen, that's wild. And that I wish I could describe like the state I feel when I'm actually channeling and he's into some really in-depth stuff is almost like this compression of reality to where it doesn't have as much front to back kind of depth. It's very strange. Um, Very strange. Yeah, I'm not sure I can really explain it, but and then you know I know some people just no matter what I say will not believe what's going on, and that's fine. They don't have to believe it. I'm not here to convince anybody of it. I am going through an experience and I'm sharing that experience. And so part of that experience is that at the end of each session, and this is for me the thing that really sets this up as wow, there's something different going on. At the end of each session, when he pulls his energy back, it's like I'm waking up. Like I've got that whole rub in the eyes thing that I'll end up doing. And it's strange because the intensity of his energy and presence while I'm in that channeling state, sometimes I'm more aware or less aware. And I find as I'm doing this more, I'm filtering less, right? Like I'm struggling for it less. I'm actually trying to just flow through it. And you're not getting this as like a years of seasoned process where I practice and practiced and practiced, and now let's show this to the world. I am simply going through this experience and sharing that experience. So every time I'm doing this, there's a clarity that's coming through that's different. And the way that he pulls his energy back at the end, like, and it's now I'm here, it's that rub the eyes, that wake up, that feeling strange, like something's not quite right because I've woken up, that post nap sort of thing, except I don't feel the same level of post nap drowsiness. And part of that is when I go to connect in the beginning of this, and I used to feel a lot more drowsy before, but when I connect in the beginning and actually am channeling energy into me to sustain me as I'm going, and because there's a lot going on when I'm in that state, then I'm not actually feeling drained at the end later. So I usually have to remind myself to actually get into that state of connect, ground, draw energy in, swirl it through me in a certain process that I do to establish not only that energetic connection, but shielding and such that I've learned before. And what's kind of funny too is that Just even on the idea of shielding and meditation, putting yourself in that like golden ball of a hamster wheel kind of or like a ball that you put a hamster in, they'd walk around the floor and not like have to go find them under a couch somewhere. That kind of spherical shield was first taught to me by a sci-fi character, Zahn on Farscape, played by Virginia Hay. Virginia Hay was at a or not Star Trek, sci-fi convention in Orlando many years ago when I lived there, and she actually had a meditation thing going on in the morning, and she's like, "Hey, come to this thing," and so I did, and that was like the start of me picking up on how to meditate and all this stuff many, many years ago. And I love that it was her because it was so dialed in with her character on the show as well. So yeah, it's pretty wild. And now here I am many, many, many years later, and I've got, extraterrestrial beings that are contacting me and working through me. I will say the vision that I've seen, and he talks about the ambassadorship stuff, and we've dealt with this some more, and I've not shared all of the sessions. I usually just kind of hit record because I'm thinking there might be something here. I'm just going to hit record. So what he shared was basically like some of us will get to go and participate in a way where we can experience and understand the great diversity of beings out there, and those beings can interact with us, in sort of like a grand community of, like you would imagine, ambassadors going out somewhere, interacting with people. And what's kind of funny is when I've seen it, it's almost like the Green Lantern Corps kind of thing. So like the idea that you've got all these beings from all of these different worlds coming together and interacting and sharing that idea that uh, of how positivity can help and what's going on there, like sharing the best of what it means to be themselves. And there's something just truly amazing about that. So, yeah. So I was having questions the other day about like, what are we going to eat? Like, because I was doing some stuff in the kitchen. I just started thinking about it because I've been I've been working a process on some barbecue stuff. And for those people that know me, they know I love barbecue. And so I've been working on some of that, dialing in my process. And I'm thinking, like, what are these folks going to do? Because I'm fairly, omnivore-ish kind of thing, right? Like I'm gonna, I like eating meat. I know there's tasty animals. I know not everybody's into that. And I do a fair bit of uh, consumption of vegetarian type meals as well, but it is the full spectrum. And I've tweaked and I've altered and I've adjusted, and as I shift and become aware of certain things, I certainly have shifted some of what I eat. But that experience is just part of mine, and you don't have to resonate with it. But I'm wondering then, like, what are we going to eat? How's this going to work? What's going on? And so that's when he had this conversation later. And it's funny because then I went back and I saw some other videos where at the end of the videos, he was doing a thing where he was bidding me fondue, and he did not do it on the one session where we're talking about food. And I thought, well, isn't that strange? Uh, but what's interesting in having a chat with him about it later, what he explained was my connection to fondue is actually a rather deep one because, there was a time where I was not feeling great about myself. And I thought, because I ended up having an experience where I went for fondue, And I just felt like, a truly great fondue is worth living for. And one could have an entire program or whatever situation where, you go out and you just get somebody a truly great fondue so that they understood that too. And I was no longer in that state. Uh, Last couple years have been kind of rough for me. Had some ups and downs, had some big challenges. And so for a while, I was really connected to that. Like, um, so it touches me. It means something that he cares enough to bring that through. But then to later recognize and understand that I didn't actually need it. Like, I'm not in a state where that's the big concern. Um, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, yep. Anyway, thank you for sharing in this little experience here with me. Uh, never thought that I would be doing videos and channeling an extraterrestrial interstellar being, whatever he is. Like, I that was not on my to-do list or whatever when I consciously thought about it. But as I am doing this, I can absolutely look back and see the through line that got me there. I can see where that has been there, and I understand where I've made the agreements to do so in the past and how very aligned it feels. So I know that it's going to be even better, even more clear. And I've had other psychic folks, sort of my psychic super friends, as I call them, tell me that there's even more coming. There's something even bigger that's going to be happening. And I don't know what that is. I've done some other channeling that I've not shared, some stuff that's pretty wild, pretty intense. So we shall see. Once I have a better understanding with some of those folks and what the relationship is, then I may bring them through as well. I've definitely channeled my higher self. I've done channeling of my higher self with my eyes open, which is a very interesting thing because it's like feeling a more intense version of me come through who's actually pretty jazzed about even just feeling the sensations of like touch and stuff. It's very weird, very weird. So anyway, well, speaking of food, I'm gonna grab some lunch. So thanks a lot for joining me. Take care.